being a hero in Power Rangers also means that a lot of kids out there will take you as a role model.
Right, right.
Do you feel the responsibility? You know, is this something that you thought about?
It's definitely, yeah, I mean, for me, it's definitely something I've thought about when it comes to the kids that watch the movie. And I think we were very aware of that even when we were building the characters and, you know, the relationship between the girls and their friendship. And I think, yeah, for me, I can only, but also I know you've heard people say like real models. They're kids going through real things. They're not perfect. I'm not perfect, and all I can do. I'm definitely aware of it, and I would hope that I could be a good role model. But I'm also just figuring out things myself as well, and just being. Me.
I'm the oldest of 4 kids, so I growing up was already, you know, had that mindset of like I have to be a good example to my siblings, and now I get to do that beyond my 4 walls. And I feel like it is a great responsibility, but I also feel like the best example that I can set is to be myself and to be honest and to be an open book. You know, not like she said, not everyone's perfect, and I think that's something that I would love for my kids one day to look up to, as someone who, you know, is just real at the end of the day.
True hero. You know, you play heroes on screen. So who's your own hero in real life? Who wants to start?
In real life, it got to be my papa, to be honest. My dad, he always showed me and my brothers that, you know, even in tough situations, it's never a time that you can either give up or work less or work, you know, less harder. You know, my dad never was a giver-upper, if that makes sense, you
Someone
know.
else?
I think I had trouble finding a hero as I was growing up, actually, but I do see a lot of heroic things around the world on the news, just things that people do that really touch me. I think there's heroic acts, and anyone can become a hero. So that's my take on it.
My mom.
Why?
She's an inspiration to me.
Okay.
You know, she gave me a lot of inspiration to continue to do what I pursued.
My mom, my dad, and my little brother Alex. He was diagnosed with autism at a very young age, and just seeing him just strive to be just this amazing human being has been such a pleasure. I feel like any obstacle that he goes through, he's overcome, and I'm like, wow, I can do it. He makes me feel like I can do anything too.
What about role models? Is there any actors or athletes or people that are famous that when you were a kid you wanted to become like them?
Yeah, I think Bruce Lee for me, as cliche as it might sound, was a big role model. And this is not when I was growing up. This is after I've, you know, studied into him once I grew up, because I think a lot of his ideas were before his time, and it applies to a lot of different things. He was really a philosopher, a scholar, an actor, and someone who's very determined and dedicated to his craft and believed himself a lot. He was a hard worker. Even when he's exhausted, he would still pipe up about his opinions and what he wanted to portray towards the world. And it's a real inspiration for me, because he was really a first Asian person who could possibly appeal to an audience. And he could sit there and just be very charismatic and very magnanimous in his behavior.
For me, mine would be Jamie Foxx, right? Because on an acting, you know, scale, he's a genius, but he also attacks the music, you know, in the same way, with the same tenacity, the same, you know, just drive. He can make a jazz flute out of an exhaust pipe or something, you know. It's just like really, really cool that Jamie can take anything and turn it into gold. Yeah.
And?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan on taking from many different professions and capitalizing on, you know, putting different eggs in my basket, different skills. So it's hard for me to choose one person or that's in an industry, even this industry. But I think my trainer for this film, I was one of the sole survivors of the Bali bombings, and he was burnt neck to toe, 3rd-degree burn scarring. He lost all of his mates in the bombing, and he came out of it, started 3 martial arts academies, got over his burns, completely, you know, recovered. I mean, he's still horribly disfigured, but he has a wife and a kid. He's a keynote motivational speaker. He runs a security business, a bodyguard business. Like,
what's his name?
His name, I forget his name. I haven't trained with him for about a year.
Okay.
But he was incredible. He was really, just that time to be in that realm and look at him and look how he'd overcome everything was a real honor to me. His name's Phil. Yeah.
And when Dacre told us
Phil
that story
Graham.
the first time, it sounded incredible to me. And this is what I mean by, there's all the teenagers in this movie, they're imperfect, right? But once they perform some heroic deeds, they become heroes. I'm sure Phil is not perfect in every sense, but he's your hero because he does heroic things.
Yeah.
So I think anyone can become a hero as long as you're doing something good.
I would say Jennifer Lopez. Just because I think the blueprint of her career is just so genius. You know, she does it all. She's a smart businesswoman, an actress, a singer, a dancer, and a mom. You know, like, she does it all, and I think that's something definitely to look up to.
Have you done anything heroic in your real life one day?
I don't think heroes feel like heroes when they're doing heroic things. They're just doing things that they feel is right. I have a certain rule actually. I try to do 4 things every single day. Something physical, like exercise, something intellectual, like writing or reading or just thinking about a problem, something social, engaging with my friends, engaging with you, and something that just does a little bit of good for the world. It could be something very simple, like picking up a piece of garbage or holding the door open for someone or helping an old person across the street. Now, when I do those things, I don't feel like I'm trying to be a hero, but I just feel like it helps the world a little bit in a certain sense.
Maybe. I mean, honestly, like, my parents are my best friends, so it's always been like a team effort. I definitely feel like the third parent in the house. I do say my siblings are like my little babies, and every year for Mother's Day, I get a Mother's Day text message from them, which means everything. And it does make me feel special and kind of like a role model, like a hero for them to look up to. I think I had to grow up very quickly. I started in the industry at 9 years old, and not just because I love to entertain people, but also because I needed to help my family and because I wanted to contribute. We were living in my grandparents' converted garage, and I was old enough to understand what was happening, but too young to actually do something about it, and I didn't let that stop me. I didn't let my ethnicity, the color of my skin stop me. I didn't let my financial situation determine where it was that I was supposed to go in life. I didn't let just perception, people's ideas of who I was thought to be, you know. I just kind of did me, and I feel like it's gotten me this far. I just gotta keep that up.
You know what's funny? I've been doing that job for over 20 years. It's almost like hearing Jennifer Lopez talking about her life 20 years ago. So good for you.
Wow,
girl.
thank you so much.
I think being heroic, or for me, it's like in the little things. So I like to just small things that, you know, even something as small as just making someone's day, and just, I think I'm always very aware of the people that are around me, and you don't know what anyone's going through, and you don't know that if a simple hi or a smile is going to go a really long way, I think sometimes. So I think sometimes you can be heroic without even realizing it.
I definitely try to do my best to, like Ludi said, I never feel like, I don't think I've done anything heroic in my life, but there's so much responsibility, and I'm realizing it more and more in people, like you said. Okay, so my hero is different to Ludi's hero, different to RJ's hero. Each of our heroes don't have superpowers in this context, in the Power Ranger context of super strength, you know, impenetrable skin, can fly like Superman, can like do all of this stuff. They don't do that. Heroes in my life are just people, right, who do things and represent stuff. So for me, I want to be able to represent that to kids on a human level and go, here's what I can do off screen. Here's what I can do that you can look up to, and here's how I can craft my career and my life in such a way that people don't get misguided and go, well, I really looked up to Dacre, and then one day he did this stupid thing. And, you know, try to do my best to...
Also, I feel like that comes out in this movie. This movie doesn't paint us as role models. It paints us as real models, which is really, really important, right? So sometimes people feel like, oh, you guys are at this pedestal and you're Power Rangers now, so you have to be perfect in life. Shut up. Because there's no such thing as a perfect person, right? Even kids, they grow up and they sometimes mess up in their own minds and they feel bad about it, you know? They feel like, oh, I can't be a hero now because I messed up, or I did this bad thing, or I didn't get this grade. And it's like, no, you are a hero every time that you wake up in the morning and you do something to get out of your bed. You walk out, you say hey to your mom. That makes her day. That's heroic, you know? It's just like, yeah. We
all know that, you know, the world needs some kind of saving right now.
Yes.
If you were a true superhero, what would you do first?
I feel like I wish I could give people more understanding and a little bit more perspective. Personally, I feel like I'm a people's people. I love people, and love traveling because I get to meet all different kinds of people from everywhere. And I feel like if we can all maybe just be able to put ourselves in other
More
people's shoes,
understanding, yeah.
there would maybe be a little less egos and a little bit less hatred, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, pretty similarly, I think that would obviously deal with a lot of then other issues that would flow from that. I mean, something to do with maybe a little bit more balance when it comes to the distribution of wealth and stuff like that. I'd probably go a little bit more like that, but yeah, I don't know, something like that.
Is there a special power that you wish you had?
I mean, I would fly.
I feel like I wish I could read minds. I'm a very
I love read minds.
I know it's a tough thing, but I like the truth.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely been times where I'm having a conversation with someone, I'm like, I really wonder what they're thinking right now.
Or invisibility. Like, I want to know what's
Nate's
going
like, I
on.
want to be able to go into the kitchen and not get in trouble for like eating everything that's in the
just be
refrigerator.
but yeah, just, like to be like a fly on the wall in certain situations, like, I don't know, like political things. Like, I'd be like, what's going on in there?
What's your personal connection to the Power Rangers, if any?
Growing up, I mean, just the idea of being able to be a superhero with your friends. And not only that, the Power Rangers, and especially now more than ever, represent such a diverse group of people coming together. Gender-wise, you got girls and boys working together. Just the amount of things that they're all dealing with personally. I mean, self-identity issues, bullying, cyberbullying, Billy being on the spectrum. I think those are all things that are so relatable. And growing up, I felt like I could connect to that idea of being a part of something. It was greater than just me by myself, but being a part of, something that made me stronger as a person.